Hey, what's going on? It's me, Faith. I just wanted to do an update. A lot has happened in the past couple months. I got really sick last month, and it was to the point where they didn't know what was wrong. They were giving me like 6 different diagnoses. So I was admitted to the hospital, and my blood sugar, because I'm type 1 diabetic, my blood sugars were like through the roof and just all over the place. My vitals, uh, I was not in a good place. I spent about 3 weeks in the hospital, and at that point in time, um, during that point in time, I ended up falling in the bathroom, which was really scary. Actually, you know what? I feel like I don't need this oxygen right now. I'm kind of stuffy. Um, I fell in the hospital. What was most scary about the situation was not that I fell, it was the fact that it took like 10 minutes for a nurse to come. So I was on the floor and I was calling for help, and my roommate ended up buzzing for help. Nobody came. I guess they were doing rounds, and so they didn't realize what was going on. And so then I finally got up off the floor. I'm like, I'm not going to sit here anymore. And so I um, sat on my bed. I pressed the button again. And finally, like 5 minutes later, they came and they're like, "Are you sure? Because nobody heard you." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure I fell, and I'm pretty sure I didn't make that up." And I'm like, "My roommate heard it. So what do you mean nobody heard it?" They're like, "Well, nobody heard you screaming." Excuse me. So anyways, that was, upsetting. There was a bunch of like mix-ups and crazy things that happened while I was in the hospital. Finally, when I was actually sent home for one day, discharged, and then ended up having to come back just because I wasn't ready to go home, and I really wanted to go home, but because of the stairs that I have at home, and just like the stress of trying to manage the household and my son, I ended up having to go back into the hospital. But I can't remember if it was the first or second time that I got out. But this doctor comes into the room and is like, "I need to talk to you for a few minutes." I'd never seen her before in my life. "Well, I'll come back." And I said, "Well, I'm actually leaving in 5 minutes. So if you want to talk to me, you can come talk to me now." And she's like, "What do you mean you're leaving? You're not going anywhere." And I was like, "What?" She's like, "I'm the doctor on call. I'm in charge. I'm the one that says who can go and who can't go and all this stuff." And I'm like, "Who are you? Like, I've never even seen you before." And so I'm like, "You should go check with the nurse." And she's like, "No, this is, you know, how can you leave? You have a hole in your esophagus." And I was like, "What?" Like, that's the way you tell somebody that they have a hole in their esophagus? She's like, "Because I had a scan prior to that." And I'm like, she's like, "Yeah, that's what your scan showed." And then finally she was smart enough to go talk to the nurse. She came back and she's like, "I am so sorry, I had the wrong patient." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like, you just almost gave me a heart attack, like thinking that there's like something even more wrong with me now." um so that was really upsetting. But so many mix-ups at that hospital was just, I don't know, it's really frustrating a lot of the time. But so they ended up giving me a scan because I was actually having some cognitive issues where I think it was because of the medications I was on, but like I couldn't read. Um, my vision was so blurry. It's still a little bit blurry. Um, it would take me like maybe half an hour to 40 minutes to send like a one paragraph email. Like, it was really frustrating. Like, it's so frustrating not being able to do what you can normally do. Um, so I really struggled with that, but they said, "Okay, let's send her for a scan." And then once I fell in the bathroom, I actually hit my head and my ribs. So that's when they were like, "Okay, let's, get this done now." So I got my MRI, and they basically discovered that there are some lesions in my brain. This is, uh, a first for me. I've never had the cancer spread to my brain. It's in my lungs, my bones, my liver, and now my brain. So, and stemming from breast cancer. Um, one of the lesions, at first they said was there, and then they said wasn't there. Um, Another one is inconclusive, and the other one they're saying is cancer. The biggest of the three, or two to three, is 11 millimeters. So that's really small. And apparently it's really treatable. So I was relieved about that. But they basically said that they can't do anything right now until they're able to see um, the lesions on a CT scan. They can't radiate. They're going to do targeted radiation, but like it can cause brain damage if you're not precise with what you're doing. So it's pretty scary, and I want to make sure that if it's done at the right time. So um, I think I'm still kind of numb to that. I'm overwhelmed. I know that I've had friends that it's gone to their brain and then they pass, and it's really hard. But then I also have these amazing friends also who have defied the odds, and had cancer in their brain and had radiation. Shout out to Nally Augustin and Brittany Beadle, because the two of them definitely are my inspiration. Thriving ladies are still here, and I know there's many more that are still here fighting. So I'm one of those women now, and I know that I'm very blessed to hi Rebel. I know that I'm very blessed to still be here. Um, so to finish off, I ended up coming home from the hospital, and I had to start chemo again. My hair was like, it was like this long. It was looking so nice. I was so happy. I had like a full head of hair again, and was getting ready to like shoot um, my last video for my album, and a lot of that stuff had to be, changed up and put on hold and whatnot. But it's still definitely gonna happen. It's in the works. My video and my album are dropping on the 25th of November. So I think the video kind of gives a little more insight into the story that I just told, and what I went through recently when I was, only given a couple days to live in May. I have been just trying to rest as much as I can. And I've been having a lot of rib pain ever since that fall. So I felt like I came home one day, I think it was like the second day after I was in the hospital, and I like rolled on the bed. It could have even been the same day. And I just felt like this pop. And I was like, that didn't feel right. And it really hurt. And then so I was just dealing with like this pain and pressure in my ribs. And they sent me for an x-ray because I have quite a few tumors in my ribs, so it could easily fracture. They found nothing, which was a relief. I'm glad that nothing was fractured. And then last week, something, like, I was leaning over my couch stretching, and something popped again, and I felt it to go out of place. Or into place. So I almost feel like my rib was dislocated and then went back to the way it was supposed to be. But that kind of scared me. But like I said, nothing on the x-ray. So I ended up going for chemo on Monday, and I think it was Monday. No, actually, I thought it wasn't Monday. But anyway, this week I went for chemo, and they basically told me that my oncologist wanted me to have another x-ray just to make sure. So I come back to get the results. I'm in chemo, and they come talk to me, and they say I have pneumonia. I'm like, oh my God, are you freaking kidding me? So now I have pneumonia on top of everything else. And my doctor's like, well, are you sure this might be COVID? Like, maybe you should get tested. I'm like, I've had 6 COVID tests. One of them was last week. I don't think it's COVID. If I get worse, I will take one. I will go to Emerge. She said if I get any worse, go to emergency. But I had to have them come out and bring me oxygen, because that first and second night, I just, like, I couldn't breathe. Like, I was trying to sleep, and I just felt like there's like this elephant on my chest, literally. Like this tightening in my ribs hasn't gone away yet, and so I'm using oxygen to sleep, and a bit around the house when I'm doing stairs and stuff like that. So um, I know that's a very long update. Thanks for staying tuned and actually like listening to the full story, because I know it's a long. It's hard to keep it short sometimes because so much happens in my life in short periods of time. Maybe I just need to vlog more often to keep you guys in the loop. But that's my current situation. As always, I'm remaining strong, and I know I'm going to get through this. I know I'm going to feel better, and continue to fight and thrive. And I don't know. My oncologist is now saying that she wants me to do chemo for the rest of my life, which, it really comes down to like quality of life versus, the quantity, I guess. I don't know. It's really hard to say because, I put a lot of faith into natural stuff as well. And, like I said, I've defied so many odds. I think I must have 9 lives. Um, and I think that I'm still here for a reason, for sure. So I'm going to say that my reason is to inspire others and share my story, share my music. And I really appreciate you guys for all the love and support. I will definitely keep you posted. All right, peace and love.